Am I the a-hole for not selling a property that my parents promised someone? About 10 years ago, a family friend owned 2 commercial units but couldn't keep up with the associated costs. Repairs, maintenance, taxes, etc. It also needed a lump sum of cash to keep their business afloat. So he asked my parents to buy the property from him, with the condition that he could buy it back for free after a few years once his business recovered. My parents could rent it out in the meantime and recoup what they paid. My dad passed away 4 years ago and left me with the property. I renovated it and have been renting both units out since then. This past summer, the family friend and his kids sent me a pretty aggressive letter saying they want the property back for free under the original agreement between them and my parents. There was no contract or anything, it was just a verbal agreement. They eventually said that they'll buy it back for the original purchase price of $80,000, but the property has increased in value by 12 times since then. Plus, I've put a decent amount of money in it for renovations. I've never met these people, and I have no intention of upholding a verbal agreement that I was not a part of. So I told them no, and not to contact me again. They've been sending me threatening letters with semi-legal threats. I talked to a lawyer and he said they have zero claim and that I'm in the clear. Am I the a-hole for ignoring them and keeping the property? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Honestly, the original agreement sounds like he was taking advantage of your parents. Screw this guy. They were. My parents were extremely kind, but many people took advantage of them throughout their lives, unfortunately. Make sure you have some type of security/cams in the property. Obviously nothing that would make your tenants uncomfortable, but maybe sharing that you are being harassed and want to be sure they don't get harassed. Not the a-hole. They don't get to sit back and reap the benefits of 10 years worth of work and maintenance. A few years for the original buyback agreement with your father and not you is not 10 years. That opportunity between the 2 original parties came and went. Especially after they were not only maintained, but renovated. Realistically, these are no longer the same units that were part of the original agreement. For free? Not the a-hole. For free or for the price your parents originally paid, $80,000, the offer is ridiculous. Get a restraining/harassment order against them. Stop saying you knew about the buy-it-back deal. They might be able to use it against you. I understand nothing of law in the US, but what if they have a recording of you talking about this lunatic deal? Make sure to schedule an appointment with an attorney. Find out what really could be done. Honestly, I don't think the previous owners have a case against you. However, make sure you know everything about the legal repercussions of the buying back for free thing. First they wanted it for free, then they said they'll buy it back at the original price of $80,000. The property is worth well over $1 million at this point. My mother, for years after my stepfather died, sent money to a poorer country to help her in-laws. When she told them she had cancer, they still asked for money. When she let them know that she had to go into hospice as cancer was terminal, they still begged for money. When she passed away after half a year in hospice, I went through her phone correspondence and let them know she has passed. I kid you not. 2 weeks later, they are asking me for money. I don't know these people, never met these people, never went to their country, and I am not in any way related to them. They keep begging. I sent a scathing response back with a listing of telephone numbers of people who were actually blood related to them. You're in the same boat. These people have no ties to you, and you owe them nothing. They have no contract. Let them chin-wag all they want and sleep soundly at night. Some people are straight-up vultures zooming in on a dead carcass. Yep, this wasn't the only vulture that came out of the woodworks when my parents died. Sorry about your mom, and sorry you had to deal with that awfulness instead of being able to grieve. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my fiancé any of the winnings to pay off her debt? I, 31 male, have been engaged to my current fiancé, 34 female, for 2 years. We are not rushing into getting married. My fiancé has been struggling with debt since she graduated college. Her parents gave her a loan to help with paying some of the debt. Her biggest issue is that she loves to buy things that aren't necessary. What I didn't know was that she had 3 credit cards that she would use and they were already maxed out. She works as a registered nurse and used most of her paycheck to pay off the debt. We decided to go on a vacation and decided to have fun at a casino. I put in a reasonable amount and ended up winning a large jackpot. The money was enough to put towards some of the bills and mortgage. But my fiancé kept begging me to use all the money on her debt, and I told her that I had concerns about her going back into debt. She has been staying quiet and won't talk to me unless it's in regards to the money. When we got back home, we invited her parents over for dinner and she told them how much I won. Her parents were so happy and relieved, and her mother asked if I was going to use the money on her debt. I explained to them that I was going to use the money towards the bills, mortgage, and paying off some of my car loan. I do love my fiancé, but I don't trust her with the money. I did deposit the money into my bank account, but she did trash our entire room trying to find the money. Her family thinks that since I am going to be her husband, that all my money should be hers. I feel that because I have my concerns about her going right back into debt, that I do not trust her with this large amount of money. Am I the a-hole for not giving my fiancé any of the winnings to pay off her debt? Not the a-hole. You really need to rethink marrying someone that would trash your room looking for money that doesn't belong to her. Lots of red flags here. Not the a-hole, and I agree. If she is this bad now, it will get worse when you are married. She will be constantly putting you and your credit score in trouble, OP. One of the most common reasons people fight or divorce is due to money, and divorce is causing a lot of financial damages on its own. Seriously think about the marriage. Ask her if she's willing to go to a money management and budgeting course to get a handle on her debt, and possibly pay off and cancel a card or two. If she won't do any of those things, she's just using you to pay off her debt and then charge things back up. Not the whole. I have to agree. I hate to say it because I don't like judging people who get into financial troubles, but Opie's fiancé sounds like one of those people who can't stay out of debt. I know people like this. I have a friend who had credit cards she kept secret from her husband so she could spend money on salon visits, clothes, and toys for their kids. After he died in a bike accident, between the insurance and the money people gave her as a young widow, she got all her debts paid off. Guess what? In 5 years, she was deeply in debt again. I'm all for married couples sharing their resources, but this sounds worrisome to me. Opie and his fiancé may not be financially compatible. Listen to this, Opie. This was my brother's first wife. She expected him to pay for everything even before they married. While she regularly got fired from jobs at the 4-month mark, it ran up to huge credit card debts the whole time. Guess who ended up divorced and filed for bankruptcy afterwards? Dude, I would seriously consider canceling the engagement. Not only does she have bad money habits, she trashed your room looking for the money? You know what that sounds like? An addict. Has she been evaluated for a shopping addiction? You're right to not want to pay off the debt for her. It sounds like she would just get right back into it. Not the whole. Agree. And why is no one bringing up her trashing their place to look for the money he'd already deposited? Holy smokes, is that some unhinged crap. Not the whole and break up with this lunatic, please. And yes, she'd definitely have just blown through more money. Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my daughter in economy class and refusing to change her seat? My daughter Meg, female 18, is a very active person in social causes. Go to marches, help with NGOs and homeless people. The recent cause she embraced was the criticism of capital accumulation. My husband and I come from a wealthy background. Although our parents don't fully help, we know our privileges and the ease with which we can achieve our career and financial success. But Meg doesn't seem to understand. She often criticizes each more expensive purchase, saying that we could donate this money to people in need. I really understand her ideal, but it gets annoying all the time at any purchase she's criticizing. What she also doesn't understand is, the little of this excess capital of ours, she has the freedom to do all this in time without money stopping her. All the luxuries like iPhone, car, and money are given to her so she can walk as she wants. And we agreed to help when she said she would like to take a gap year to delve into the causes. After 3 years without traveling because of the pandemic, we decided to take an international trip. Again, Meg talking about it being an unnecessary expense to go to business class and that money could go to other things. She proved her point, and we decided to go class save on a 10-hour trip. On the way to the airport, I talked to my husband that he could go to the gate and I would go to the duty-free to see some stuff. Meg butted in and started the same rant again. I was already pretty annoyed about it despite giving her a warning to stop, but I saw that she was going to be on this the whole trip. At check-in, the attendant asked if we'd like an upgrade to executive, and when Meg threatened to start over, I accepted and asked for 2 seats. She was quiet, asking if we weren't going to do it for her, and I was very honest, saying that I wasn't willing to spend 10 hours listening to it, and I want to enjoy too. She started to say we should all stay in economy, and I said no. She got annoyed about it. On the trip, she didn't enjoy anything and stayed on her cell phone. On the way back, I offered to pay hers and she refused. When we got home, she said that we knew that she's financially dependent on us, and that we accepted to support her financially, and that we refused to upgrade even though she couldn't do it to prove our point, and that we were vindictive for being fed up with her pointing out only the truths. And if we don't like her way, let her know and don't punish her. She is given cold shoulder so far 5 days later. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Meg is though. If I was you, I'd just do malice compliance. Let her know that you support her in her causes. She doesn't want you to spend money that you could donate? No problem. She wants a new phone? Perfect. She can get the lowest cost flip phone, and the rest that you would have spent on a new iPhone will be donated, as will her old phone. Having a car is a luxury. Time to sell it. She can get a transit pass. And just think of how many people you could buy a transit pass for with all the money you save on not paying gas and insurance and from the sale of the car. Birthday and Christmas presents are a luxury. Get her a cake to celebrate her birthday and a card with a donation made in her name to a cause she cares about as her gift. No more vacations. Those are a luxury, so she can't come on those anymore. The portion you would spend on her will be donated. Meg needs to get a job so she can get some perspective. She's acting spoiled, entitled, and not understanding her privilege. And quite honestly, being a hypocrite. She's mad that you upgraded, but then mad that she didn't get an upgrade. Not the a-hole. Go further. Let her practice what she preaches. She's fine imposing her values on others. Let her live them herself. Also, ask her what charities you want your estate to be donated to, as she gets no inheritance. It's easy for Meg to be hypocritical brats when there's no penalty for her. Let her live how she lectures, and don't let her back into your good graces until she apologizes for her behavior. Not the a-hole. Your daughter is a major hypocrite. She doesn't want you flying first class, but is upset that you didn't upgrade her to first class. It's honestly time for you to set the record straight with her. She is well aware that she is financially dependent on you, and yet she criticizes your every financial move. Tell her that the money you're spending on her would be better off being donated, so she should stop with the hypocritical rants unless she can actually survive financially being on her own. She thinks that she's so righteous and woke, but any poor person would get annoyed with the BS she's pulling. She's all talk and no act. Sure, she goes to rallies and stuff, but her lifestyle does not reflect it considering she actually likes the luxuries of having rich parents, like going on unnecessary trips and getting everything paid for her. Not to mention, no matter how wealthy her parents are, them spending that money is beneficial to the economy. Cycling their wealth back into the economy is exactly what they should be doing to help. The problem is the rich that hoard their wealth and refuse to let it see the light of day again. Honestly, grew up in a single-parent home, and your comment about how poor people would get annoyed about her BS is so spot on. Growing up in low income, you know damn well you were low income. Sure, mom needed help here and there, but we managed. I would have been so angry if one of my friends was running around with a new iPhone, could take a year off while mom and dad paid and all that, had the nerve to rant near me how her parents were wasting money. I'd feel like she was taking the piss on me. I was happy at home, a privileged girl just reminding me I was low income while whining how people should donate while sucking on mom's and dad's wallet. Yeah, we wouldn't be friends for long. Last story. Am I the a-hole for selling my wife's LuLaRoe? My wife has recently started a side business or hustle. I don't know the exact word she uses. Recently with this LuLaRoe company, which she says is a great opportunity to get more money, to which I thought it was okay and just left her alone, maybe occasionally asking her how it was going. We have a shared account, but my wife likes managing it because she's a perfectionist and admittedly usually better at handling finances than me, so we agreed to leave most of it to her. I thought it was a mostly innocent side job, but I did ask her to tone it down when some friends complained about her messaging them privately about her whole thing. She seemingly took it well at first, but she went silent with me for a day or two because I apparently wasn't supporting her. She has a lot of merchandise in the house, some of which she puts in a spare room in which it's literally almost filled, but she keeps telling me that people are buying, etc., etc., and how I'm not trusting her whenever I brought it up, tears in the eyes and such. I finally decided to check our account and turns out she spent a decent amount of money on this stuff, as well as taking a dip in some of our emergency fund, which admittedly made me angry and kinda not in a clear mood. I decided to sell most of her merchandise when she went over to her parents' house for relatively cheap, as it wouldn't really sell for much higher. And while it was a good decision at a time, with the way my wife and some family/mutual friends reacted, started to feel like the a-hole. When she came back, I told her and she freaked out at me, saying I was abusive, horrible, and other insults, before leaving to stay at a friend's house. And some family who heard about the whole thing are saying I'm in the wrong because I'm being an unsupportive husband. Starting to feel guilty but wanted some outside opinion. Am I the a-hole? LuLaRoe is a very dangerous pyramid scheme. Ever watched the documentary Lula Rich? It's very informative and shows all of the lives this MLM has ruined. Yes, your wife needs to watch this documentary, and so do any family members who are confused about the business opportunity. LuLaRoe is a predatory MLM which encourages people to continually buy more and more stock. Not the a-hole. Your wife is in the grip of a failing MLM. She's not thinking rationally, and you should not let her manage your finances. This MLM has destroyed lives and left people bankrupt. That your wife is doing this after it's well known they're failing is even more reason for you to protect yourself immediately. Yes, I was surprised to read anyone was still selling this product. Not the a-hole and separate your finances until your wife comes to her senses. Everyone sucks here. Go talk to the folks at r/anti-MLM for suggestions on how to effectively deprogram your wife. But however misguided this venture might be, I don't know how you expected stepping in and taking over without so much as discussing the situation with her first was going to end well for you. Like she discussed spending their joint money in emergency fund? Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend that we cannot afford for me to be her sugar daddy? My male 27, girlfriend 23 is absolutely beautiful. And most of her friends are also physically attractive women as well, and they like to party with rich men they meet. My girlfriend and I have been together for a couple of years. I make a decent living, but I'm not NBA rich. I don't have a trust fund. I'm not a tech millionaire. I just make a very good salary and bonuses. Enough to have paid for a good portion of my house and to have graduated without debt. I want to retire young enough to enjoy my life, so I invest and save most of my money. Not all. I'm still enjoying my life now. I'm even taking us to all-inclusive in Jamaica for the New Year's. But she's jealous of her friends. They get lavish gifts, and they go out for dinner all the time. She loves me, and we have plans for the future, but she keeps bringing up all the things her friends get from their male admirers. I finally snapped and said that I could not afford to be a sugar daddy. She said her friends aren't like that, so I pointed out that they literally do not make enough money to support the lifestyle they have. I pointed out that one of them drives a $1,000 Lexus, and she works part-time at a restaurant as a hostess. She says that I'm calling her friends workers, which I would not do, and judging them. So I asked her to explain how her friends afford dinner out at very expensive restaurants while earning minimum wage in some cases. So now she thinks I'm an a-hole for making what I feel are apt observations. She asked if I consider her that way, because I pay for everything and earn 6 times what she does. I told her no, that I'm proud to have a teacher for a girlfriend, but she is still sulking. Now for the top comments. You have 2 choices. Sit down with her and have an adult conversation that although she may be jealous of all the gifts her friends get, you do not/cannot get her all those same things. If you're paying for most of the luxury/bills whatever, you get a big say in what luxuries are enjoyed. Or you can end a relationship. She sounds a bit immature. Not the a-hole. I was thinking she sounds naive. Yeah, or not. It's hard to say based on this post how transactional their relationship really is. But I thought it was odd that the first thing Opie did was say how beautiful she was. Not the a-hole. But if she is all about appearances and having nicer things, please know that she will ditch you when the person who can afford those things comes along. Exactly this. She is young and probably has a very shallow definition of love. Perhaps. Or maybe she does love Opie, but that doesn't mean that she'll ever stop being jealous of her friends and their rich men. I think Opie needs to realize that this is something he'll likely have to put up with, as long as they're in a relationship. If she loves Opie, then she would stop with the comparisons. She has to learn to be happy with where she is and what she has. If not, the jealousy will begin to override everything else, because she will want to either push Opie to do more or find someone else to keep up. It's unhealthy. Not the a-hole. She's young and foolish. She's equating material things with someone caring about her. Her friends might not be sex workers, but they are definitely trading something that requires no effort for getting boons in life. They are what the nice guys and incels always complain about. They are who give the rest of us a bad name. I have no sympathy for them at all. Their looks will fade, and if they don't have an education or career, their 100K Lexus as sugar daddy present days will be a thing of the past. Your girlfriend needs to grow up. There's nothing to be jealous of. If she wants expensive things, she needs to shuck her little buns and work for them. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my best friend her grandfather is planning to disinherit her? I found out my boyfriend's grandfather is planning to leave him everything and disinherit everybody else after he answered a phone call from his grandfather while I was laying on him. I asked him about it once he got off the phone, and he explained what was going on, but told me not to mention it to anybody else as his grandfather didn't want them to know yet. Her sister is my best friend, and I don't keep secrets from her, which he knows. She's relying on some money her grandfather promised to give her, and I didn't feel right not saying anything to her, so I told her what I knew. She told everyone else, and now their family's fighting and arguing over this. Their grandfather is blaming me and wants my boyfriend to leave me because he said I'm a troublemaker. My boyfriend is also angry at me because now his sister is refusing to speak to him or let him explain. Am I the a-hole? Info. Why is the grandfather doing that? But with the current info, you're the a-hole. Boyfriend told you not to tell anyone, and likely wouldn't have even told you had you not been next to him while he was on the phone. My boyfriend is his favorite grandchild, and because he thinks the rest of them are disappointments in comparison. They sure do sound like a disappointment if they are depending on the inheritance to plan their future. The only reason my best friend was relying on the inheritance is because her grandfather told her himself what he was going to leave her, and that he would make sure she was taken care of so she wouldn't worry. Now that she knows it was a lie, she's making different choices to make sure she'll be okay without his help. You're the a-hole. Don't insert yourself into other people's business. Don't lie and pretend you won't say anything when you were planning on saying something. Your boyfriend should leave you. You chose your best friend over your boyfriend, OP. Your choice to make. But if I were the boyfriend, I'd probably leave you over it, knowing I'd always be second priority to my sister. I get why you did it. Just laying out the implication here for you. Hopefully this isn't a very serious relationship. You're the a-hole. You were told by someone you presumably love and respect to keep a secret and just cause trouble. This was family business. None of your business to get involved. Exactly this. You were asked to keep a secret and failed miserably. You have now caused unnecessary family drama. But more than that, trust is the foundation of a good relationship. And now you have shattered it by blabbing news that was not yours to share. You know the saying, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. You have shown your character or lack thereof, and your boyfriend and his grandfather are left to believe you. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not taking the option of working from home? I work for a tech company while my husband is an aspiring author. He has had some success, and we hope for more in the future. When I got pregnant, I negotiated a full year of maternity leave with my employer. I would not lose seniority or miss out of certain aspects of profit sharing. I'm sorry for being vague, but I know many of our employees are in Reddit, so I'm going to fudge some information. In return for the accommodation I made with my employer, I got a month of completely uninterrupted time with my new baby. Then I started taking on tasks from home on my own schedule. On average, it was 15 hours or so a week. My husband writes at home, so we decided that he would be the stay-at-home parent. And when I was working, he would care for our baby. It was a pretty good arrangement, I thought. And it was for about a month. Then he would start ignoring the baby crying or claiming that the baby wanted me. That sort of thing. It started to interfere with my deal with my boss. I told him in no uncertain terms that if he kept interrupting me while I was working, I would hire a nanny for help, but take the funds out of our fund budget. The budget that pays for dinners out, vacations, and hobbies. He got a point, and I got my 1 to 2 hours of uninterrupted time every day. Until recently. It is almost time for me to return to work full-time. Once again, my employer was very accommodating. They were very impressed with my ability to contribute meaningfully to my group during my maternity leave. So, they offered me a choice of work from home, work in the office, or a hybrid schedule. I discussed it with my husband, and he said that I should choose to work from home so I could help more with the baby. I chose to return to the office instead. I have access to a private room and a freezer so I can store milk. I'm able to interact with my team, and I enjoy the environment. My husband is saying that I'm being cruel and that my baby needs me. I said I would work from home if he got a job to pay for the nanny so it didn't affect our budget. He said it didn't make sense. I almost said no, Sherlock. He wants me to be the main breadwinner while he tries to get published. He wants to enjoy life in an expensive city, and he wants to stay home to write. Some of these desires are mutually exclusive, without him stepping up and giving me time and space to earn a living. We just saw his family for Thanksgiving, and he was complaining to his mom about me choosing to leave him at home with the baby and returning to work. She started in on me for my choice. I was embarrassed, until his dad spoke up and reminded her that when my husband was born, she was a stay-at-home mom and housewife. He said that was what my husband signed up for if he didn't want a job. It just became a big argument. Now we are home and I feel bad, and he says that he feels emasculated. So we are arguing. I feel like an a-hole abandoning him and our baby. And his mom thinks I am. Edit. When I say he has had success, I mean it. He wrote a novel that he self-published. It was optioned for a movie. It was a lot of money to us at a time. But after the agent and lawyers took their shares, there was a lot less. And the movie never got made. So there was no more money or publicity for his writing there. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You have given him options. He is the one making it difficult for you to continue funding your home. I have tried explaining that to him. My feeling is that if he'd like to be part of a household in which he contributes nothing of value, he can move back in with his folks. The important part is, tries to get published. I have a friend who is a writer and it is her job, yet she has to take care of the kids while her husband works in an office. It's a lot, and she struggles to make deadlines because kids. So at first I thought Opie was being unreasonable, but if he doesn't even have a publisher, then this is basically a hobby. The sensible financial thing would be for him to get a job and work on the writing in his spare time. But this is the way he wants it, so Opie's not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. He feels emasculated? Apart from the fact that that's just an attempt at manipulation, if his masculinity is that fragile, he can fix it by getting a job. So to clarify, he wants to stay home, not work, and not take care of the baby. Essentially, he wants to contribute literally nothing to the household in terms of either money or effort? This is absurd. He is beyond entitled and selfish. You have to work, because nobody else is. If I were you, I'd be telling him I'll compromise by giving him two options. He stays home and takes care of the baby, or you hire a nanny and he can GTFO because he's dead weight at this point. Your father-in-law's right. This is what he signed up for if he didn't want a job. He has to pick one, work or childcare. He doesn't get to just say neither. This, yes. Being able to stay home and work on his writing is a huge luxury. And he seems absolutely not appreciative of this chance he has. I know a New York Times best-selling author who has a day job. He's written many books, but he had to keep working for years. He now keeps working because he enjoys it. That absolutely was not the case for a long time. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife she is the sucky friend? I, 25 male, married my wife, 33 female this past winter. We have 2 kids together. 4 female and 18 months male. I work full-time, but my wife is a stay-at-home mom. The reason I mention this is that my wife has never had many friends. And by many, I mean she's had a max of 4 at any time in the years I've known her. The one friend she's always had, Kayla, 33 female, she's known for 20 years. She's 7 hours from us. Her other friends also have kids around the same age as our daughter. They are Cody, 28 female, and Casey, 35 female. They met as the kids have the same key worker at the daycare. Kayla was supposed to be my wife's maid of honor, but she got multiple trips to urgent care sick 2 weeks before the wedding. Eventually, we said it was best if Kayla skipped it. My wife was gutted not to have her best friend there, but had Cody step in. A couple of days ago, I heard my wife talking to Cody and Casey about how she hadn't heard from Kayla in months and Kayla doesn't check in. They were trashing her and talking about how when they all met up with her for my wife's dojo, like a Bucks night for women, and Kayla at my wife's hometown, Kayla had been boring, awkward, and a downer the whole time. They pointed out that Kayla was a sucky, self-interested piece of suck who didn't understand how hard it was to be a mother, and they'd all needed that night because she doesn't have kids yet, and that my wife was right to cut her the duck out when she didn't show to the wedding or apologize. I waited for Casey and Cody to leave before asking my wife what the heck she meant. My wife's response was to say that it was just girl talk, and that Cody was right anyway about everything she'd said. I was very quick to point out that before the others, Kayla was the only friend my wife had. She bent over backwards for my wife and my daughter, and would even drop whatever she was doing to drive down in a babysitting emergency or if she just had time. I reminded her that it wasn't practical for Kayla to take off work and drive 6+ hours for silly wedding tasks, and that she probably felt completely alienated in her own home in my wife's dojo because I know for a fact that the only thing my wife, Casey, and Cody have in common is their kids, so it wouldn't surprise me if that was all they talked about. She desperately wants to be liked by Casey and Cody just to have people around her, so I get it. I finished by pointing out how messed up it was for my wife to agree that Kayla doesn't understand because she's not a mother, when she was there through Kayla losing 3 babies, and told her that it's her own fault that Kayla doesn't want anything to do with her anymore because she is the sucky, self-centered friend, not Kayla. My wife didn't respond. She immediately burst into tears, packed a bag, and left. Everyone is texting and calling me I'm the a-hole and that I need to apologize, but I think it was the reality check my wife needed. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Not one bit. Sorry, sometimes the truth isn't so nice. It does sound like your wife isn't being a good friend. Also, Kayla was in the hospital twice, but that qualifies as missing the wedding? Did she also not grovel enough and compensate with a gift 5 times her annual salary for being so thoughtless and selfish? Not the a-hole. Hopefully, one day your wife will realize the value of having married someone decent. Surprised he even married someone like that. They got pregnant when he was 20 and her nearly 30. Combined with the horrible attitude she has, sounds like she targeted someone young and easily manipulated. Unfortunately, not the a-hole. I think everyone is allowed to have a perspective, and I actually think you communicated respectfully. Your wife, on the other hand, seems to be the a-hole for leaving and then obviously trying to get others to harass you. Your wife sounds toxic, and unfortunately, if that's who she is, you might need to consider leaving her. It seems impossible for her to handle any sort of proper discussion, and this is only going to get worse with time. Not the a-hole. Sometimes I give my husband a reality check if I really don't agree with him. His response is to accuse me of never being on his side. I answer with, I'm always on your side. 100%. Just because I don't agree with you or I think you did a crappy thing doesn't mean I don't support you. You did the right thing according to your values. You thought it was important enough to say something. I agree with you, by the way. She didn't like it. That's okay. Here's something to think about. How would you react if she did it to you? I like that. I'm always on your side, 100%. Just because I don't agree with you or I think you did a crappy thing doesn't mean I don't support you. Maybe the OP should use this when he hopefully gets a chance to speak to his wife. He should also point out that he hopes she would do the same thing for him. Not the a-hole.